All right, welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 1st of December. Good to have you aboard. Got a fun show planned for everybody today. Thrilled to have you here with us. ZASLOW Show 2.0. We are in week number 5. Can't do any of this. None of it is possible without you guys. Appreciate you. Everybody who's been hanging out with us. The show continues to grow and grow. I love you long time. You know how it works. Thanks to our sponsors. We have 5 sponsors of the show right now. I love all of them equally. And I love all of the soon-to-be future sponsors. If you want to get info on how to be a part of the show, at ZASLOW Show on Twitter, you go to my bio there. And you got my email address right there. Okay, you can get in touch with me. We can figure out what works for you, what works for us. And we want to get you part of the show here. All right, appreciate everybody. And of course, title sponsor for everything, ZASLOW Show 2.0, from day number 1, from before day number 1, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, any kind of injury you're dealing with, doesn't matter how the accident happened, Anidjar and Levine accident attorneys are going to make sure you get the money that you need to take care of the situation. They will handle all the extracurricular stuff. You just have to worry about getting better. Let them handle all that other stuff and get you the money that you need. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine accident attorneys. They are title sponsor for ZASLOW Show 2.0. I love those guys. All right. So we were hoping that we were going to start the show today with a Heat win last night. We were hoping that the Heat were going to go into Boston last night. Now, they're playing there again tomorrow. I do like how the NBA does this. You know, this was my suggestion a couple years ago because you got the player. The NBA player loves 2 things more than anything else. The NBA player loves to not play and to complain. And you can knock both of those out by lessening the travel. So when the Heat are only making 1 trip to Boston this year, you play the game last night, you play the game tomorrow night, that takes a flight away. Boom, there you go. I mean, heck, while you're up there, the Heat should be playing, all the Northeastern games. They should be playing 2 games against the Wizards during that stretch. That's 4 games right there, and you're already up. I mean, I guess you take a short flight over, but at least it's a short flight. When you're up in the New York area, you should play both games at the Garden. You play both games at Barclays. That's 4 games right there. Instead of 4 plane rides, you take 1 plane ride, you spend a week in New York, you bang out all the New York games right there. So that lessens the travel, lessens the complaining, lessens the load management bullshit. But the Heat last night, they're going to play the Celtics again tomorrow, and it looks like they're going to get Jimmy Butler back. It looks like Butler's going to rejoin the team. Obviously, it comes at a good time. The Heat 3-game win streak is snapped, so they dropped to 10-12 after last night, but I was hoping we were going to start the show today talking about a Heat win, and not that I felt confident about it, because it's tough to be confident going into Boston. They're 18-4 now, best record in the NBA. The Heat, it's been struggle city for most of the season, even though they had won 3 games in a row. Like, can I be confident? No, but here's the thing. I felt that the Heat had a good chance to win that game last night, and they did have a chance to win that game. The final score, they lose by 13, 134-121. The Celtics are the best team in the NBA. It pains me to say it, but the Celtics are the best team in the NBA. But the Heat, they've earned that, and that game was much closer than the final score would indicate. Jason Tatum, couple threes late. Al Horford hit a huge one as well. And all of a sudden, what would have been like a 4-point game for really the entire way, the Heat kept falling behind by 8, 9 points. Then they'd score 6 in a row. They're back within 3. They're back within 4. They played a really good game last night, the Heat. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to say that the Heat played that game last night against anyone else, and the Heat win that game last night. Celtics are the best team in the league right now. I think Milwaukee's right behind them. They're going to get Chris Middleton back at some point. We know Phoenix is doing their thing out west. Denver, Cleveland is off to a nice start as well. Not quite the hot start that they were at the beginning of the season, but nonetheless, you understand what I'm saying. Boston's best team in the NBA right now. And the Heat, playing that game they played last night, would have beaten anyone else. They'd have beaten every other team in the league except for Boston. So I go into the game last night. Oh, Zaslow, how could you possibly think that the Heat are going to beat the Celtics? And it shows you the difference between, the two teams that are playing right now. Teams that play during the weekdays, Heat and Panthers. The Heat have earned that trust from us. Now, maybe going to wind up being wrong, and the Heat are not going to turn this thing around. I think they are going to. I felt a little bit better about the Heat recently. I got to be honest with you. I was very down on them, obviously. I've felt a little bit better recently for a couple of reasons. Number one, Tyler Hero clearly getting his shot back. He was very good last night. 22 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. He was 9 of 17 from the floor. And and as you could see, he's doing other things, which is part of the maturation. That's part of the growth. Bam Adebayo is showing everybody he is a legitimate number one option. And I know there have been behind the scenes stuff where he wants to play his way. The coach tells him, we need more from you. We need you to be this guy. We know you're capable of being this guy. He needs to be that guy. All right. And Bam last night, again, another strong game. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 10 of 19 from the floor. And we'll get to Bam in a second because he had a lot to say after the game. But the Tyler Hero regaining his shot and Bam's emergence, which has been needed with Jimmy Butler out. Like, this team does take the next step when Bam becomes the best player on the team. Now, not because Jimmy has taken a step back. It's, age, injury, whatever. It's when Bam is surpassing him. There's a big difference there. And when Bam becomes the best player on this team, that's when the team takes the next step. And that's why the coach has been urging him, you need to be that guy. The status quo, what we've had the last couple years, that's not going to cut it anymore. That's not going to take us to the next level. And I hope that Bam is starting to realize that. But I go into the game last night, again, not like confident that the Heat are going to beat the Celtics, but feeling that we got a shot. And they did have a shot because they would have beaten every other team last night the way they played last night. And that was without Jimmy Butler. And that was with Jason Tatum, 49 points. I got to tell you, we've been talking about Luka as far as the MVP conversation. Giannis, Jason Tatum, better mention him. Unstoppable last night. And if I can give some quick props to Jason Tatum, classy last night. They could have been looking for Jason Tatum. Late in that game, he had 47. Then he had 49. He could have gone out there hunting for the 50. They let the shot clock run out. He was kind of standing in the corner. He wasn't aggressive to get the ball. That's a classy move by Jason Tatum. And, like Devin Booker last night had 51, I think, through 3 quarters. It's a Devin Booker move. Devin Booker. Remember Devin Booker had the 70-point game when the team sucked a few years ago? Devin Booker is one of those superstar players who will hunt for the big number when the game's no longer in doubt. It's beneath Jason Tatum. Like, I hope the Heat fan noticed that. Because, look, those two teams are rivals, and Jason Tatum clearly said to himself, yeah, I got bigger fish to fry, especially against this, would he like to get 50? Definitely. But I got bigger fish to fry. This is a Miami team that we're going to see down the road. We always see them. We've met them in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 of the last 3 years. I don't need to hunt for that big number against them. We'll see them again, and I'll do it again in the postseason. I mean, I know we won't, but I'll do it again in the postseason. I thought that was a class move from Jason Tatum because hunting for that big number, especially against a rival team who you're going to see again down the road, that is beneath a player like Jason Tatum. It is. It's beneath him. I thought that was a class move. But I'm proud of the way that the Heat played overall. I thought the Heat played a very good game. I think they would have beaten any other team last night. But I go into the game last night saying, yeah, I think the Heat got a shot in this game. Because the Heat have earned that trust. They've earned that trust from us. The Florida Panthers play tonight. They're in Vancouver. Vancouver stinks, but so do the Panthers. Vancouver, I think, is 5 games under 500. Panthers are 3 or 4 games under 500. They're 9, 10, and 4. So the Panthers are, what are we talking there? The Panthers are 10, 9, and 4, excuse me. 10-9-4, so 3 games under 500. Panthers have not earned that from us at this point. Panthers stink right now. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games. Yep, 1-3-3 in their last 7 games. And I told you yesterday, I woke up yesterday. I was clearly not the only Panther fan. Not that the only Panther fan who woke up. I hope all Panther fans wake up every morning. I was not the only Panther fan who woke up yesterday, went on to the Twitter application, and was hoping to see Paul Maurice was fired, and I was disappointed. And you know that's not my style. I don't call for... If you've been listening to ZASLOW Show, this is ZASLOW Show 2.0. If you've been listening to ZASLOW Show, you know I'm not the guy that goes on the air and calls for coach to be fired. It's not my style. I don't do that. I was hoping yesterday I woke up and Paul Maurice was fired because he has ruined my fun. You know, when's the fun going to start? I don't know that it's going to start. I have no confidence in the Florida Panthers right now. None. And, you know, I was talking to JoboCop a couple days ago. Go back on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ZASLOWShow, or just right here. Go back, on the podcast. JoboCop joined us a couple days ago. And I told him, like, he's got to put together like a 4 or 5 game win streak and get this thing going. Who the hell believes that the Panthers right now are going to be able to put together a 4 or 5 game win streak at any point in the season? They stink. I'm not sure what Barkov's status is tonight. I can't imagine he flew out to meet the team in Vancouver. He's been sick. I would imagine / hope that that it's Spencer Knight in goal tonight. I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky flopping around like a dead fish a couple nights ago. But it is a back-to-back. I think tomorrow night they're in Seattle. So you're likely to get Bobrovsky then tomorrow night. Spencer Knight, be the man. Get it between the pipes tonight. Shut down Vancouver. And let's get this thing going in the right direction. All right? Get 2 points here tonight against the Canucks in what right now has been a winless road trip. Winless Canadian road trip. The Panthers do not have any of your confidence. The Heat, you are confident that they're going to get things going in the right direction. And I think last night kind of proved it because they were right there with the Celtics the entire game. The Panthers, like, am I staying up for this game tonight? 10 o'clock? The Panthers, you go into this game tonight, you have no faith. We'll circle back to the Panthers. I don't trust them. I got no... As Paul Maurice, he ruined my favorite team. I hated my favorite team, but you understand what I'm saying. He ruined it. So, hey, coming up on the show today, we're going to talk to Brian Myers. Who's Brian Myers? We haven't had a pro wrestler on the show in a while. Brian Myers, formerly Kurt Hawkins from WWE. That's Matt Cardona's pal. Impact Wrestling. Impact is here next weekend, December 9th and 10th. Winter Warfare. They're in Pembroke Pines. Tickets are available now at Ticketmaster.com. Super affordable. Brian Myers is going to join the show. I'm looking forward to talking to him. And you know what else I'm looking forward to with talking to him is, you know, people would say, ZASLOW, your interviews are so good these days. ZASLOW Show 2.0. When you have the guests on, it's fire. And I say the same thing to them. Yeah, because I could see the guests now. We record via Zoom, and even guests who I'm tight with, when you could see them, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you could see them. Oh my God, it's a pleasure. It's so much easier. So we have pro wrestlers on the show all the time. I've never done it via Zoom. So we're going to have Brian Myers on the show today. I'm looking forward to talking to him and just being able to see in person because wrestlers are always great interviews. So if you're a pro wrestling fan, you want to make sure you listen to ZASLOW Show 2.0 Wrestling Show. That's It's Still Real to Me. It's every Saturday, sometimes Sunday as well. But Brian Myers is going to join us coming up on the show today. We're going to have some fun with him. I want to mention real quick. So yesterday, tickets for Metallica went on sale. I told you. I think we did it in Big Deal, Not a Big Deal a couple days ago. Tickets for Metallica went on sale. And Metallica's, it's over 2 years. They're starting like in May of 2023, and it goes through the end of the year 2024. They're doing, excuse me, they're doing a stadium tour of North America. A bunch of cities in the U.S., bunch of cities in Canada. They're not coming anywhere close to here. I wish they were. Like, if they could play Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that'd be awesome. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go, although I kind of want to go next year in August. They're playing in Montreal at Olympic Stadium where the Expos used to play. I can't believe that place still exists. It was a dump 30 years ago. I've been there a bunch of times. It was a dump 30 years ago. I can't believe that place still exists. But anyway, they're playing Olympic Stadium for a couple years, which By the way, I'm pretty sure Olympic Stadium was the site of a very famous Metallica mishap. Now, you can tweet to me at ZASLOW Show. My guy Mike in West Palm, he's a huge Metallica fan. If I'm remembering this correctly, at ZASLOW Show on Twitter, at ZASLOWJ on Instagram as well. I'm an influencer, but I love responding to you guys. So you can tweet to me, though, at ZASLOW Show. If I remember correctly, Olympic Stadium, Montreal, was the very famous site of when James Hetfield, the frontman for Metallica, everybody knows that, where he was burned, where he was standing in the wrong place when the pyro went off and he caught fire during a Metallica show. Now, this was back when it was like very beginning 90s, I guess, and Metallica was touring with Guns N' Roses. Dual headline show. Sometimes Guns opened, sometimes Metallica opened. And this was one of those nights. It was in Montreal, I believe Olympic Stadium. And Metallica was opening. And James Hetfield caught fire. Obviously could not continue to do the show. They still ended up doing the remainder of the tour. And he had like bandages all over his hand. He couldn't play guitar. But anyway, obviously had to stop doing the show because he caught fire. And so their set was cut short. And Axl Rose, because back then, he was a huge asshole back then. Everybody knows that. Axl Rose refused to take the stage. I guess felt like he was being upstaged by Metallica, Refused to take the stage. So Guns N' Roses didn't play. Metallica's set was cut very short. And the fans rioted. It was a huge riot. Kind of like, how can you blame them, But it was a huge riot. And I believe it was Montreal and Olympic Stadium. So I want to go to the show in Montreal next August at Olympic Stadium. I think it's possible. But here's the thing. Now, I'm the ticket ninja. My God, concert tickets, man. I told you, when I used to go see Pearl Jam, when I was in college, you put $18 in an envelope, $18 cash. In an envelope, you send it off to the fan club, boom. You hope that it got there, and you get your tickets. That's right. And now, concert tickets. Oh my God. Unbelievable how expensive they are. So, it's about, for a decent seat, and these are stadium shows for Metallica, for a decent seat, you're talking $500. And I didn't even blink when I saw it because it's so the norm. Now, not for every band, but bands like Metallica, it's so the norm. And you're not surprised with Metallica that the tickets are so expensive because Metallica is and look, you're allowed to make money, all right? Capitalism. But Metallica's like the OG give me my money rock band, right? That started out with Napster. If you don't know what Napster is, if you saw the Facebook movie, Social Network, Justin Timberlake played, what's his name? Sean, I forget the last name. But Justin Timberlake played the guy who started Napster. When I was in college, that was peak Napster. Napster started when I was in college. We all had Napster. And it was a program which allowed you to steal music. We all had Napster. Napster was amazing. And Metallica fought Napster and, ended up shutting them down and the whole deal. So, the FBI was threatening to knock on your door if you still had Napster. I never erased Napster. Come at me, bro. Come at me. So, Metallica's like the OG give me my money rock band. And so you can't really be surprised with the prices. But I didn't even blink when it was $500 a ticket for a decent ticket. But here's the thing. This is the part that sucks. Because $500 for a ticket is obviously super duper expensive. They're playing 2 shows, Metallica. Every one of these places. It's a Friday and a Sunday show, every one of these cities. And their whole shtick is completely new show. By the way, they have 2 openers every show, and it's a completely new opener each show. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Like in Mexico City, Greta Van Fleet's doing one night. That's really cool. Anyway, it's a completely different set each night. Each of the 2 nights. Friday's different from Sunday. Which is laughable for someone like myself who's seen Pearl Jam 25 times, and every single show is completely different. You don't have to explain that. Metallica, patting themselves, I'm like, hey, guess what? 2 shows in your city, and we're going to play a different show. Well, that's the way it should always be. But anyway, here's the thing. They're playing 2 shows. They're making you buy two tickets. They're only selling 2-day passes. The pre-sale went on sale yesterday. I guess the public on sale is tomorrow. But you already know how that works. If you don't get in on a pre-sale for any of these there's no such thing as a public on sale anymore. Go ask the Taylor Swift fans. Go ask the Swifties. Go ask the Swifties. There's no such thing as a public on sale anymore. If you're not getting in the pre-sale, and I'm the Ticket Ninja, I get into every pre-sale. I laugh at your pre-sale codes. I get right in. I'll crack that code. I'm the girl with the dragon tattoo when it comes to cracking those pre-sale codes. I got no problem. I'll get whatever tickets I want. But they're forcing you to buy for both shows. So if the tickets weren't expensive enough already, $500 a ticket, it's actually $1,000 because I have to buy for both shows. It's really expensive. What if I just want to go to one show? So I got to buy for 2, which is $1,000. I'm obviously going to take my son. I'm in for $2,000 already. And I've seen Metallica probably, I think 4 or 5 times. I want to go, but you also know how I feel about this kind of stuff, right? Like that show is the one that I want to go to. I mean, some of these shows are in 2 years from now, but that show that I want to go to, I guess, is in 10 months from now. August. That's month number 8. And if we're in December, and that's month number 12. If I count from 12 to 8, all right, I think that's 8 months from now. You know how I feel about that. I'm not plunking down $2,000 and I'm not getting my service. Like, I'm not plugging down $2,000 for something that is not going to happen for 8 months from now. No chance. So as we get close to the show, maybe I'll buy it. But that kind of sucks. They're forcing you to buy both shows. That's very expensive for people. That's very, very expensive. All right. Hey, real quick, I got to tell you guys about one of our new sponsors, all right? Doctors on Call 365. I was very sick last week. You know this. You could still hear coughing a little bit still. Really sucks. I'm trying to use the cough button as judiciously as possible, but I don't have a cough button for the YouTube channel. I got to figure that part out. But anyway, you know I was really sick last week, so what did I do? I called Dr. Alon, Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. Dr. Alon came to my home, gave me a COVID test, gave me a flu test. Thank God I was negative for both, but I still needed medicine, all right? So he prescribed me medication right there in my home, prescribed me medication. You don't have to go anywhere. If you got to make an appointment to go see the doctor because you're sick right now, you get on the phone, they tell you, all right, how's Wednesday, January 8th? It's in a month from now. I need someone right now. The convenience of having Dr. Alon and his team, Doctors on Call 365, coming to your home or your hotel, if you know where, maybe you're from out of town, or what your work, whatever you're doing. Dr. Alon and his team, Doctors on Call 365, they are coming to you. Well, you can't put a price on that kind of convenience, all right? Now, they don't handle mental health or sexual health cases, all right? And obviously, if you're dealing with an emergency, you got to call 911. But based in Broward County, service in Miami-Dade, and Southern Palm Beach as well, as of now, they're self-pay. Medicare acceptance is on the way soon. Private insurance acceptance is coming down the line. But the convenience, you're paying out of pocket, but the convenience of having them come to you and being dealt with right away. I'm telling you, last week, it was a lifesaver for me. DoctorsOnCall365.com, 786-577-9302. All right. I also want to mention, we're super pumped up about the soccer, right? Super pumped up about the U.S. men's national team. A very common debate over the last couple of days since the game. By the way, I was really into that Argentina game yesterday, too. Argentina wins 2-0. They advance. Messi missed a PK. Messi, come on. We're a Messi household. I think the way that the brackets shake out, if the U.S. wins on Saturday and Argentina wins, I think they play Argentina in the quarterfinals. Anyway, so common discussion or debate over the last couple of days, especially on the talking head shows, ESPN, FS1, that whole kind of deal. And especially because these shows aren't used to talking about soccer. I got First Take on yesterday. Now people are like, oh, Zaslow, what are you doing watching First Take? Well, first of all, my man Chris Russo was on. It's Wednesday, so I'm going to watch Dog, all right? But also sometimes my girl Amber Wilson has been on First Take. I'm going to watch anytime she's on. I'm going to watch anytime Dog's on. So once in a while, I'll catch First Take, and I was catching First Take yesterday. And they're, the main discussion, they had Taylor Twellman on with them. Stephen A. and Dog and Taylor Twellman. And the main thing was from Stephen A. and Dog, two guys who don't know anything about soccer. And I'm not trying to sit here like I'm some type of soccer aficionado, but come on, I know a little bit about a little bit. And the two of them have the whole tact where, why is this impressive? That's the argument. Why is it impressive to get to the round of 16? They only won one game. They won 0-2. They won 1 out of 3 games. They're in the round of 16. Aren't they a top 16 team in the country in the world? Which I think they are actually ranked number 16. So this isn't impressive. They've scored a total of 2 goals in the 3 games. This isn't impressive. And it's like, you see when you watched the game a couple days ago, you could see how hard it is to win a game. It's so hard to win. It's the best competition in the world. Getting to the round of 16 is a major accomplishment for the United States. Is it for a team like Germany, who's in a certain kind of way today, or a team like Argentina, or Brazil, or France? No, they're expected to do that every year. We're not those countries. And it doesn't matter how you advance, survive and advance. If the U.S. wins 1-0 against Netherlands this weekend, they've scored 3 goals in 4 games. This is impressive. Well, shit, yeah, it'll be impressive if they're in the final 8. You get to the final 16. I couldn't believe I was turning on yesterday and these guys were poo-pooing. This isn't anything to get excited about. Are you nuts? It's so exciting what's going on right now with the U.S. men's national soccer team. I'm so into it. It's so hard to win these games, any of these games. And how dramatic the finish was. Pulisic going penis first and scoring the winning goal. Come on, man. That shit was awesome. Don't do the whole, I know it's debate shows, you gotta embrace debate, but don't do the whole, this ain't that impressive. It's so impressive and so cool and so much fun that the U.S. is in the round of 16, and you got a chance now to really do something super, super special. Don't do that. Don't take the tact of, this is nothing to get excited about. Get to the Final Four, and then we'll start to get excited. Nah. Right now is the time to be excited. It's so cool. So, the Dolphins, we are 3 sleeps away from Dolphins and 49ers. Don't forget, like I said, Brian Myers, formerly Kurt Hawkins from WWE, Brian Myers, Impact Wrestling. He's going to join us coming up in a little bit here. The Dolphins are a national topic every day. I love it. Even if people are down in the Dolphins, like right now I saw it flash on my screen. Dolphins, even though they're first place in the AFC East, they have the second best odds to win the AFC East at 30%. Buffalo is still 67% chance to win the AFC East. Dolphins are 30%. I don't care. I love that they're talking about the Dolphins. I love that every single day the Dolphins are a topic. I don't care if they're doubting us, all right? But here's the thing. This is the stretch now where all those detractors out there, and I talked about it with my man Israel Gutierrez. If you missed him yesterday, youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show, or just go back and listen on the ZASLOW Show 2.0 podcast. You get your podcasts on iTunes or Spotify, Amazon, everywhere you can get a podcast, you can get ZASLOW Show 2.0. I can't spend all day sitting here listening all the different places that you can listen to ZASLOW Show 2.0. Just wherever you get your podcast, that's where you're listening. And we talked about Mina Kimes. She hates the Dolphins. Dolphin fan hates her. Feelings mutual. This weekend, we got to be fair. You're a Dolphin fan, you got to be fair. Starting this weekend for all those Dolphins detractors on television. Now it gets serious. Most people don't believe the Dolphins are going to win this division. Like I just told you there. we're talking 30% is the Dolphins' odds to win the division. But this Sunday, like I heard Canty and Carlin yesterday, that's Chris Canty and Chris Carlin, afternoon drive, ESPN radio. You hear my girl Amber Wilson fills in with those guys all the time. By the way, things are happening for Amber right now. I'm not going to announce it. She can go ahead and make the official announcement. But if you're keeping track of this stuff, Barrett Sports Media, New York Post, she's been mentioned a couple times recently. You go look up why. I want to let her make the official announcement. But she is just killing it. She is the best. So anyway, for people like Canty and Carlin yesterday, I was seeing clips from ESPN, and they're telling you, like, hey, we don't believe in the Dolphins. We don't believe in Tua. But this stretch of games now for the Dolphins, like Chris Carlin said, I'm going to have to shut up if the Dolphins come out of this stretch smelling like roses. This Sunday, let's be fair. And, a couple days ago, yesterday, 2 days ago, 2 days ago it was announced, not this weekend against San Francisco, but next weekend against Los Angeles Chargers. They flexed it to Sunday Night Football. Tua versus Herbert. Oh, my God. Tua's going to take that ass. It's going to be so good. Starting this weekend, this Sunday is the first step in that direction. It's the first step in the direction where all those doubters who are still out there, now you have the real opportunity to prove them wrong. Like, the Dolphins now, for the first time really this year, think about it. For the first time this year, they got some pressure on them. ZASLOW, how can this be the first time? This week 13. How is this the first time they got some pressure on them? Be fair. You go look at the Dolphins' schedule, okay? The beginning of the season, and we're playing teams like you got New England and Baltimore and Buffalo. Okay, that was the very beginning of the year. That Baltimore game, the Dolphins, again, their ass kicked. They come all the way back. There wasn't any pressure that game. You were 1-0 going into that game. The next game against Buffalo, amazing win. Best Dolphin game in 20 years. They were 2-0 going into that game. Nobody expected them to win. There wasn't any pressure. And now you look at these last handful of games, right? Look at this last stretch of games for the Dolphins. Has there been any kind of pressure on them? Go look at the opponents. You're talking Pittsburgh, once Tua came back, of course. Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Houston. Those are the 5 games. That's a 5-game winning streak. There wasn't any pressure in any of those games. Dolphins were not only favored, but significant favorites in all those games. Even though 2 of them were road games. Those are not big games. If we're doing big game, not a big game right now, those are not big games. Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Houston. Those are not big games. This stretch now coming up, these are big games. This weekend at San Francisco, 7-4 team. McCaffrey, Debo coming, Ayuk, Garoppolo, Bosa. I'm not going to sit here and name the whole team. Next weekend at the Chargers, Sunday Night Football, potential playoff matchup. You got the whole Tua versus Herbert thing. You know that. The game after that. That's the main event. Buffalo Bills at Orchard Park. This stretch here, these next 3 games, this is the first time the Dolphins have pressure on them this season. This game this weekend is the first big game in months. Because even though it was just week 3 and it was only 2-0 versus 2-0, Dolphins-Bills felt like a big game. This is the first big game since then. That was week 3. That was 10 weeks ago. This is the first big game in 10 weeks. This is the stretch. This is the start of that stretch. So for guys yesterday, like I'm seeing Canty and Carlin, even they had to admit it. If the Dolphins come out of this stretch now, coming up this weekend, starting with San Francisco, smelling like roses, you got to eat a big turd burger. You got to take a step back. So this is the opportunity now for the Dolphins really to shut everybody up. Because this is a very difficult stretch of games, and now they got some pressure on them for the first time. I want to circle back to the Heat here. So the Heat lose last night, and one of the big stories coming out of the game, Bam Adebayo was great. He's been so good. Jimmy is going to rejoin the team apparently today. and he'll play there yesterday at Boston. I don't think that the Prince William, Princess, the Duchess, whatever they call her, Kate Middleton, I love the two of them. I love the royal family. And I watch Suits right now with my wife. That Meghan Markle, I mean, shame on the royal family for not making, shame on that Queen Elizabeth. I know she passed away, but shame on that Queen Elizabeth for not making Meghan Markle feel like a princess. I love that girl. And Suits, great show. The Prince William, Middleton, she was there last night. They were enjoying the game. They loved watching Jason Tatum score 49 points. I didn't love it as much. But Bam was terrific. Bam gets thrown out of the game. That's right. Bam never gets thrown out of games. Maybe his first ever ejection. When else would he be ejected? Was that? I need my crack research team to get on that. That may have been Bam's first time ejected. But anyway, the Heat last night shot a total of 9 free throws. The Celtics shot 23. You know how I feel about that stuff. I'm not going to get here and bemoan the officiating when it comes to the free throws. Do I think that there were times, Bam specifically, do I think there were times where Bam was being held, grabbed, and they didn't get the call? Definitely. But you know how I feel. 9 free throws versus 23 free throws. Where does it say in the rule book that each team needs to be called for the same number of fouls and shoot the same number of free throws? I never got that memo, and it's because that memo doesn't exist. But here's the thing. When we're talking about Tony Brothers, when Tony Brothers is the one officiating the game, and he's the one who throws Bam Adebayo out, a player who's never been thrown out of a game, a guy who never complains. When Tony Brothers is suspended for a game, Tony Brothers is suspended, and his first game back, you got a free throw disparity that results in Bam Adebayo being thrown out of the game with 20-some-odd seconds remaining. He is a turd of an official. I've been saying it for years. He's the worst official in the business. He's suspended for something he said to Spencer Dinwiddie. First game back, throws out Bam Adebayo. He is a turd of an official. I can't believe I still have to watch this guy officiate games. Give Bam Adebayo a listen for a player who never complains. Give Bam Adebayo a listen post-game.
I mean, it's hard to, get a team out of flow when we only shoot 9 free throws and they shoot 23. I feel like that's the deciding factor right there. I feel like we shoot 18. We in the 18 total free throws. We're in the ball game.
Bam, obviously the frustration boils over at the end. We see a lot of times, obviously when a guy becomes a dominant guy, has the ball a lot, sometimes the referees let other teams get away with a little bit more. I mean, it's almost a testament to what you've been doing. How frustrating was it when even Spoke said on the last one, it was kind of obvious you got grabbed?
I mean, me personally, I don't really get bent out of shape about calls. My biggest thing is like, my mom taught me ever since I was younger. If somebody talking to you, look at them dead in their eyes. I feel like that's unprofessional when, players try to come talk to you and you don't look at them and, acknowledge them. I feel like that has to be addressed. And that's conversations we don't get to see. We don't get to hear when, they go in their corners. I feel like they should be put on the podium and have to explain, certain situations throughout the game. But
did you get any explanation on that
no.
when you went over to talk?
No. I ask them, am I getting fouled? They tell me no. And then I go watch film, and dudes is pushing me. So, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, come on, bro. Like, y'all out here to, make the game fair. And I'm not saying, dudes don't get touched more than others, but, our team shooting a total of 9 free throws, and we're one of the teams that get in the paint, live in the paint, and you telling me we only shoot 9?
It's the worst official in the business. It's not a surprise it happened with him. And the first game back from being suspended for something he said, too, about Spencer Dinwiddie of the Mavericks, Bam never complains, man. And I'm not going to sit here and complain about the lack of free throws, a free throw disparity, even though he's right. The Heat, they attack the paint so much. It helps when Jimmy Butler's there. I'm not going to complain about the free throw disparity. I don't care so much about that. You know my style when it comes to that. I don't like doing that. But this is a turd of an official, and he's been a turd of an official for a really long time. And for a player who never complains, never gets thrown out, rarely gets a technical foul, you see it all the time. These officials are so good. Look, they're the best officials in the world. But these officials, they're so good at standing there, listening to the player. You got to let him get out his thought. Let him have his say. It's part of the player-official relationship. It's going to be better for everybody when you have like a good discourse there, a good back and forth. And this Tony Brothers, forget that he's not some bit player on the end of the bench. It's Bam Adebayo. He can't stand there and look a guy in the eye when he has a couple things to say. He sucks. He sucks, Tony Brothers. I can't wait for the day that he is done. We're probably a ways away from it. I can't believe he's a crew chief. He is one of the all-time worst officials. So, like I said, back at it tomorrow night. Heat and Celtics.